Hi everyone, Raphael Harry here, and you're listening to White Label American, a podcast where we hear stories from an immigrant or two, sometimes more. Thank you for listening and enjoy the show. Welcome to another episode of White Label American. Thank you all for joining us today. And before we begin, I'd like to ask you a question. How old were you when you realized how important supply chain was to your life? Send your answers to whitelabelamerican@gmail.com or go to www.whitelabelamerican.com and leave an answer there via audio or written feedback. Audio is much easier, so in less than 2 minutes you can leave a great answer. Make sure you leave your name so we know who's talking. So we don't want bots leaving answers for us. So you can also support the show if you like what we do and you want to give us, you want to show your love. We welcome donations and dollars, pounds, sterlings, euros. If you want to leave crypto, let's have a discussion about that. You guys know me by now. Over 130 episodes. And so for my Nigerian people, no naira. Yeah, it's not discrimination, but we are easy on that.
Okay, but the question is, will you accept Ghanaian cedis?
That's also added to the list. Just negotiate. We'll negotiate. Just convert it to dollars, euros, pounds sterling. It's not about appeasing the white man. You're appeasing me. So it's all about love. But love me. You're showing love to me and my team. So yeah, it's a pro-black team here. So we want to expand the team. So show love. Lord. You can donate. You can join our Patreon. There's plenty of bonus content there. And if you want to, take part in the show, but you don't want to be on the show officially, then yeah, you can be on the Patreon side of it. There's stuff you find there that doesn't get released to the public. We only released some that, is just mostly my voice. So that's what you heard a few weeks ago. So you can also buy our merch. We have t-shirts, which will be changing the design soon. And yes, you will be getting only limited designs. I've heard of podcasts that try and, test the waters and go into the copyright thing. Maybe I'll do that because people seem to support that. So, hey, maybe I'll go steal a Beyonce design and then get that cease and desist. And then you people will rush and buy it. I don't know. People seem to support that.
Wow.
I'm not saying that I will. Beyonce, please don't come after me. I don't have money. But most importantly, don't forget to share with your loved ones. If you have a secret family, share with them. Share with everybody, even your enemies. Share with them. They might find something new to love, and you give them some love. And leave 5-star reviews on all podcast platforms. And shout out to all the guys who've been pushing us on good pods. We've been climbing up on their charts. We'd love to see it. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, everywhere. 5-star reviews. Keep pushing us on the algorithms. So with that being said, let's meet our returning guest. He was on episode 15, and he made fun of me a lot. And hey.
Episode 15?
Yes.
And this is, the last episode with Aoaeh.
Yeah, the last episode with Aoaeh,
was 131.
Yes, by the time this comes out, we probably would have crossed 140.
That is amazing.
Yes, and that was also a different world then, because that was pre-pandemic.
Yeah. That was pre-pandemic. That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
So we have Brian Laung Aoaeh returning again, yep. And he's the co-founder of. He's the co-founder and the general partner at Refashion Ventures.
Yep.
He's also the co-founder of the Worldwide Supply Chain Federation.
Yep.
He's an adjunct professor at NYU Tandon School of Engineering.
Yep.
And he's an advocate for supply chain. In case you didn't hear it the first time, supply chain, the world is a supply chain. This is the brother who makes us know about supply chain. And we're going to be talking a lot about supply chain, along with a lot of goodies, and we'll be laughing a lot on this episode. Yeah. So welcome to the show, Brian. How you doing today?
Thank you. I'm doing fine. I'm doing
And
fine.
for those who caught the excuse me, for those who caught the first episode, can you please let them know that I was early today?
I thought you weren't going to mention it, but since you mentioned it, how late were you again? Was it 2 hours?
No, it was 40 minutes.
No.
wasn't up to 2 hours.
Boy, talk through.
It was
Talk
40
through.
minutes. Okay, wait.
Today is Sunday. Today is Sunday. Raphael. Raphael.
That was the
your
Uber.
name. Your name is Raphael.
Yeah, healing of God.
Talk true.
I'm actually trying to come up with a new
I think it
NFT.
was 2 hours. I think I waited for you for 2 hours.
No, it wasn't up to 2 hours.
I think I waited for you for 2 hours.
The Uber said 5 minutes and showed up 40 minutes later. And I was like, it has never happened in world history, Brooklyn history.
Exactly. The Uber showed up to your place 40 minutes later.
And
by the time you got
like
here, by the time no.
Okay.
By the time you got here, by the time you got here, I think it was 2 hours.
Why would the Uber take 2 hours?
I have no idea.
I walk from my place here.
Explain it to me. I am still trying to understand. This is your show. This is your podcast. I'm giving you the floor. Explain it to me. I think it was 2 hours.
Okay. Well, I walk here, if I'm too slow, that's 35 minutes to get here from my house. And with an Uber or a regular drive should be about, without traffic, 20 minutes. So that day, Uber said 5 minutes, and then 5 minutes turned to 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. I was trying to cancel. Uber won't let me cancel. I was like, this has to be... This is what we call your village people. Your village people are looking for you, and I was like, I don't know what's happening.
You have upset an ancestor. You have done something. You have done something to upset your
ex-girlfriends, the ex-landlords.
You have done something to upset.
In how many states in Nigeria? Everybody combined together.
You need to pour a libation to your ancestors.
Wow, all the libation that have not been pouring, everybody been mad at me. All at once on one day. I was like, man, I don't think it was a Monday. Since I was born on a Monday, I think that's why it happened. Because if it had been on a Monday, that would have not happened. So for those listening, just make sure you set up your interviews on the day you were born on. That might prevent bad stuff from happening.
If you go back to episode 15, as Raphael was saying, I spent most of the time laughing and making fun. He kept trying to get me to move on. I was like, I am not moving on. You picked the wrong person to show up late. You picked the wrong person. I am not moving on. We are going to talk about this on your show. Lord.
Anyway. That's the beauty of life, though, You can't take life too seriously.
No, you can't take life too seriously.
But yeah, that's never happened again. And I'm still wondering what happened to Uber that day. I think the only mistake I made was not try to sue Uber and claim emotional damages.
Exactly, because I laughed at you so much.
Because I think that's how I'm still Nigerian, because that doesn't occur to me like, I should have claimed emotional damages.
You still have the immigrant mindset.
Yeah, I should have just
immediately sued.
Taking a photo of myself lying down the street, like, my neck, my back, I'm in so much pain. And
because of Uber, you were subjected to so much ridicule in public.
Yeah,
your reputation is in tatters. Your promising podcast career is down the toilet.
It's down. It was
the
numbers were going up, and then after that episode,
and after that, you won the judge. You won the judge to rule in your favor.
Of course,
Uber is a multi-billion-dollar company.
We'll take a check of 15 million too.
Oh boy, no! You need to let go of that immigrant mindset. Okay. What kind 15 million?
Okay, 50 million. Oh,
what's wrong with the 100 million? What's wrong with 200 million?
Yes,
okay, maybe
a guaranteed life of access to.
When they do, I've forgotten what the term is, but when they do these kinds of judgments, right? There is like one part of it that is, okay, we're going to award this relatively small amount because
Oh, that's
you know.
true.
And then there's another part of it which is just unrelated to anything that anyone can measure. So why are you limiting yourself
That's
to
true.
15?
And
What's
just
wrong
say
with
it
100?
It triggered my disabilities from the Navy.
Yes,
The whole new
throw
level.
the kitchens, throw everything
The
plus
judge
the
would
kitchen
just be like,
sink.
what? You a veteran too?
Yeah, exactly.
PTSD.
Yes. Oh
Born
my.
pits.
This.
It just my friend.
Everything in the kitchen
In fact,
sink.
you were asking for 500 million. We'll make it 1 billion.
We'll make it. We'll make it.
1 billion right there. Uber will have just gone. Can we talk to you? Your Honor, we'll settle this.
We'll settle this out.
Can we approach the bench?
We'll settle this,
please.
We'll settle this
We'd like
outside.
to settle this. Away from the news and all.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. So that's why I'm trying to invent a time travel machine. You know, I'm talking to somebody. We'll go back to that day. That's what I'm going to use mine for. Someone's like, "Oh, do you want to go back to when you were 16 and take all the information?" I'm like, "What am I going to do? I'm not going back when I was 16 and do all the stupid things I was doing. No, I'm just go back to that day I was late for my podcast."
Exactly. To episode number 15.
Episode number 15. That's it.
Oh, Lord.
I already have my lawyer on standby. So let's dive back to you, Brian.
Yeah.
So one thing that I admire about you is that, for your refashion ventures and the worldwide supply chain federation, you work hand in hand with your awesome partner, Lisa.
Yeah.
And I've never known how you guys, came to be together as how you started your partnership.
Yeah.
How you guys became a team.
Yeah.
So how did that come to be?
So I met Lisa in June of 2016.
Wow.
And I can't remember the date now. The date I have in my head, for whatever reason, is the 8th of June. And I think it was a Monday. But it was, whichever date it was, whether it was the 8th or the 9th, it was the Monday after the CFA exams that year.
Oh.
So I had spoken to a founder about 2 or 3 weeks before the exam. And, she was pitching me her company. At the end, I said, I've kind of moved on from anything that's not related to supply chain. So you should talk to my partner, JP. He's the person who's focused on marketplaces on our team at that time at KAC Ventures. I'm really now just focused on supply chain.
Yeah.
And so then she said, "Oh, I should introduce you to my advisor, Lisa. She's focused on supply chains in fashion and apparel. I think you guys could have a lot to talk about." So she made the introduction. I said, "Lisa, look, I'm like 3 weeks from my CFA level 3 exam. That's the only thing I can think about. If we were to meet now, you think I'm rude." And you think I'm rude because I'll be absent-minded. So let's meet after the exam. So we met the Monday after my exam. And, I thought it would be a short conversation. And then when we started talking, I realized that she was thinking about supply chains and technology and innovation in a way that was very similar to how I was thinking about it.
Wow.
The difference is that I was looking at it from the perspective of supply chain logistics, and she was looking at it from the perspective of the fashion and apparel industry.
Oh, okay.
And coincidentally, much like me, she had started down that journey sometime in 2015. So at the time we met, I was about 1 year into teaching myself about the topic, and she was about 1 year into teaching herself about the topic as well. And so I say it's like, it's like when you are studying a topic that no one else is interested in.
Yeah.
And, everyone's telling you you're crazy. This is a waste of time. This is a stupid thing. What the hell is supply chain? And then you meet someone else who is like, "No, you're not crazy. This actually is quite interesting. This actually is quite interesting." So we became fast friends. We started talking multiple times a week, texting multiple times a week. "Did you see this? Have you heard of this?" Et cetera, et cetera. And then in August of 2017, I had this strong feeling that I needed to hang out at a supply chain meetup, because I had done some writing in 2016 and published, and I had been talking to a lot of people, three groups of people: academics who study this for a living, and then startup founders who I discovered understand the technology, but not necessarily the problem as it is experienced by businesses in industry. And then the third group is corporate executives who understand the problem as it is faced in their industry, but they don't necessarily understand how far along the technology has come.
Mm.
Right. So if you think of the startup founders and the corporate executives,
Yeah.
right, they see one side of the issue and not the other
On the
side.
other side. Mhm.
And so my thinking was, surely someone else has noticed this this chasm, and there's a meetup to get these groups of people together. And it turns out there wasn't.
Mm.
So I started the New York supply chain meetup. After one day, I was still the only member. No one else had joined. So I remember calling Lisa and I said, "Okay, Lisa, I did this crazy thing. I started this meetup." Well, something else happened. So I started the meetup and then I posted on my Facebook page, right? I was like, "Okay, I started this thing. I don't really have a plan.
Mm.
Like, I know I want to go to a meetup and there's no meetup. I don't really have a plan."
Yeah.
So let me just post on my Facebook page and let me give myself some time to figure out what to do with this thing. So I posted on my Facebook page. Then that evening, someone sent me an email. "Hey, Brian, read about the meetup. Awesome idea. Will join." I was like, how does this person, because I'm not connected to this person on Facebook.
Yeah.
So it couldn't be that they found out on Facebook. So I checked. I was like, did someone put something in the newsletter? The newsletter that I was interacting with the most, they had published some of my previous writings, was a newsletter called Mattermark, which went out to, like, I think at that point, 100,000 or 150,000 people. So I said, let me go look at the Mattermark newsletter from last night. And lo and behold, Brian Aoaeh at KZ Ventures has started the New York supply chain meetup. They just told 100,000 people that I had started a meetup. I was like, okay, Brian, whether you're ready or not, 100,000 people are expecting you to do something with this meetup that you started. So I called Lisa. I said, okay, I did this thing. Mattermark just told 100,000 people I'm doing it. Number one, you need to join so that I can credibly claim that our membership has increased by 100%. I don't need to talk about the numbers. I just need to be able to say our membership has increased by 100%. And then, will you help me? Will you join me to help me build this thing? And so she said, actually, I think it's an awesome idea. I'm joining right now. Yes, I'll help you build it. So that's how we started building the New York supply chain meetup.
Wow. That's beautiful. So, one thing I noticed that was missing from the three groups that you spoke to when you were before you started the New York supply chain meetup, you spoke to academics, startups, and execs, was political leaders. So, was that intentional?
It wasn't intentional. It's just they tended not to be the kinds of people who reach out. So the people I spoke, right? So I'm studying the thing. I publish blog posts, 2 on trucking, 2 on shipping.
Yeah.
People read them and then they reach out to me.
Okay.
Right, they reach out to me. So no one in government reached out to me. But once we got the meetup going, then we started reaching out. So, for example, we spoke to people at the New Jersey Economic Development Agency. We've spoken to people at the NYC EDC. We've spoken to people in Michigan. We've spoken to people in Atlanta. So I agree with you. I think government has an important role to play.
Yeah.
If anything that has to do with supply chains, I think government has an important role to play. They just tend not to be like, they're not going to read your blog post
Of
and be
course.
like, oh my God, I
Of
need
course.
to like they're like, what stupid blog post is
I mean,
this?
knowing what I know now, I can see that, and it's usually somebody on their team, one of the aides. I think that's usually their job. Except if you have, I believe someone like the current Department of Transportation Secretary.
Mhm.
I see him like someone who, I think, based on his age and the type of, well, he's a knowledgeable guy.
Guy.
So I
Yeah.
would see him as one of the rare government
Yeah.
officials
Yeah.
who
That might
yeah, because
do something.
he's
Yeah.
the way he talks about logistics, upgrading infrastructure.
Yep.
Yeah, he's
Yep.
he's of the mindset that
Yeah.
I will expect him to read the type of information that you put out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's one
yeah.
of the people who I expect. to be in
Yeah,
that category.
and you know the this is actually something I wrote about in during the pandemic.
Mhm.
I completely understand the approach and the attitude that people in government take, right? We pay taxes and we expect them to be very, very judicious
Yes.
with how they use the public's resources, right? So we don't want them to be running after every shiny thing.
Mhm.
Right. We don't want them to be running after every shiny thing. So I completely, it's not like I'm upset or anything. I completely understand. I think it's our responsibility to do what we're doing till it gets to the point where it makes sense for the government to work with us, if that's in the interest of the public.
Of the public.
Right.
I
It's
agree.
not it's not always in the interest of the public for the government to work with everyone. But
Yeah, I agree.
if we do what we're doing
Mhm.
and we can make the case, a credible case, that it's in the interest of the public for a government agency to partner with us in some way,
Yeah.
then I think that's a conversation that they should be open to having.
Yes, because I've seen and heard, because there are lots of people doing different things all over the world,
Yep.
and everyone claims to have an idea.
Yeah, yeah.
This is the right way to go,
Yeah.
and sometimes I'm like, yeah, see, that's not really helpful
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
the environment. That's not really
Yeah.
helpful to the people,
Yeah.
but it's going to be helpful to your pocket.
To your
though.
pocket,
Yeah,
exactly.
so,
Exactly.
but we are currently in an age where misinformation and disinformation is huge. It's huge right now. Like we were talking before the recording began, and I was mentioning that we are in the general election season in Nigeria. So I've been on some platforms, some Nigerian um, diaspora platforms. I normally don't do those, but I've started seeing how the disinformation thing is big out there. I don't know
Yeah.
if there are people who are being paid to just go out there and say certain things, and so I just intentionally put myself in some of these places. Although I'm like scratching my head, like how are you guys? Nobody challenging this thing like this person is saying. So like I just put myself there and said, no, you have options. There are other
Yeah.
choices. So
Yeah.
don't just think that because this whatever this person is saying sounds so sweet, it is true.
It's a oh, that's a huge, that's a Pandora's box.
It is. It is. Yes,
That's an entire Pandora's
is.
box. We could talk about that till the cows come home, and we wouldn't even be done. So I think one thing is, and again, this is going back to tying it back to government officials
Mhm.
needing to be circumspect about who they engage with. Not everyone who says they are altruistic or they're doing something for altruistic reasons
Yeah.
is actually doing what they're doing for altruistic reasons. And so I think it's great to just give people time. Give people time to prove themselves.
Give people time.
Now, if you are the person that's doing the thing, of course you want resources, on day one. Of course you want resources as quickly as possible. Of course you want people to jump on and support you and push you forward as early as possible. But on the other hand, if we're going to avoid making like avoidable mistakes, we need to give people time. Like, show us that you are as dedicated to this cause as you say you are.
Mm.
Show us that you're resourceful. Show us that you're a good steward of, capital, resources, other people's time.
Yeah.
Show us that you have integrity.
Mm.
And some of those things just take time. Right? You
does.
can't speed those things up. You just need to give people time to demonstrate what they are about. Otherwise, you will keep making mistakes that could have been avoided.
I agree, because there's this. I don't know. It's sometimes it feels like there's this need for miracles.
Mm-hmm.
So an instant gratification.
So, yeah,
It's like results
yeah,
right now.
yeah,
right
yeah,
now. So
yeah. Impatience.
impatience. So
People
now
we're all
move on.
impatient.
This person can make water out of nothing.
Yeah.
Turn water to wine. Right now,
this
make it
person
happen.
can squeeze blood out of a stone. No,
Yes,
no,
that's the
actually,
guy we're
you-
going
you
with.
can't.
And you throw money there. It's kind of like early in the pandemic where a whole bunch of people got money and you're still waiting for the
PPE.
Yeah, PPE, and
Yep.
nothing has come out.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them bought yachts and
Yeah.
they're still catching people up till today.
Now the
Never.
unfortunate thing about that is, not to take us off topic.
Yeah.
That the people who have the opportunity to, bamboozle the government,
Mhm.
there's a certain group of people, right? Like, historically, we believe
True.
that these people are honest, they're competent, etc., 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 so they can show up and make a crazy claim. We'll just throw money at them. Now, of course, there's maybe some corruption going on behind the scenes, right? And some. So you probably remember this. We tried.
Oh, yeah.
Lisa
Yeah.
put together a team. They worked on, the Worldwide Supply Chain Federation tried to use the network we've built to source PPE, right, for government organizations in New York and other places. And the amount of fraud that we were faced with, like people just outright lying, we can't verify anything that they've told us. It got to a point where we were just like, this isn't worth it. Between all the obstacles that government agencies were throwing at us, and all the fraud that potential private sector partners were engaging in, or the potential fraud, because we never actually did any deal that went to closure. I was just like, yeah, this isn't worth it. The risk is too high,
So
and our reputation is too valuable for us to get involved with this. So at a certain point, we just decided to stop.
So the obstacles that you guys faced, was that only at local level or state level, or was that it was federal?
So at
included?
least so one instance that I remember, right, there was, and I can't remember which agency it was, but we're talking to some people in New York City.
Mhm.
They're like, oh, we're good on PPE. And the following morning, the mayor is on TV, like practically breaking into tears
Wow.
about how I'm like, wait, we just talked to someone yesterday and they said, oh, we're good, we're fine, we don't need any help.
Dang.
Right? We don't want you to connect us with any suppliers that are members of your whatever your meetup or federation is. We're good. And then the following morning, the mayor is on TV, like practically crying. He's talking to Joe Scarborough, practically crying if there's anyone who has PPE. As for state, we never got a response from someone at the state level. We tried I tweeted at the governor.
Yeah,
he was like, tweet at me, go to this website, fill this form. Someone from our office will, nothing, absolutely nothing. So after a while, I was like, look, if people are going to die, I guess people are going to die. I can't save. Yeah. The great thing, and people sometimes criticize me for this. They're like, Brian, you're so callous and so uncaring and whatnot. But I'm not God. Mm-hmm. Right? I can only do so much. I can't save the world. So we tried. We ran into obstacles. Those obstacles were bigger than we could deal with. It's like, you know what? I'm just going to stop worrying about this. Because if I keep worrying about this, my mental health is going to suffer.
Yeah.
And I can't have that. So there was a point where I can't remember the exact, but I got to a point where I was like, it seems very clear to me that a lot of people are going to die. And I just have to accept it. There's nothing I can do about it, right? Yeah. Number one, it's not like we have a lot of sponsors. It's not like we have sponsors. Mm-hmm. It's not like we've been making money from building the meetup. So it's like these are our own resources, our own time that we're dealing with. Like, I'm not going to pretend like we have the resources to make this happen. We have a network. There are people in our community who want to help and are suppliers of PPE. They have PPE manufacturing plants, or they have plants that were manufacturing something else and can manufacture PPE domestically, right? But they need an agency to say, hey, we want to buy this much. Yeah. Our job is to put them in touch with the right people. And if these people are keeping us at arm's length and don't want to talk, I mean, you can lead a camel to the water. You can't force it. You can't force it. You can't force it to drink. That's true. And once I made that determination, my mental health improved dramatically.
Hey, that I understand.
You know,
that I understand. I can relate to. You know, because I was seeing the tweets then. There was no response. So.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate, but you know, the other thing that I say is, especially you know, for you and I and some of your other guests who grew up in other parts of the world, life is hard.
It is.
Life is really, really hard. You know, people die all the time for no good reason. Mm-hmm. You know, there's conflicts and tens and hundreds and thousands of people die and whatnot. And every death, every person that dies, it's regrettable, and you know, you wish you could prevent it and whatnot. But again, I'm not God. I'm not God. I'm not even. Let's not even go as far as saying I'm not God. I'm not even the mayor. I'm not even the mayor. I'm not even the mayor of New York City. Like, who the hell do I think I am?
The funny thing is, the former mayor, you know, he lives not far away from here. I was, you know, before he pulled out of the race for Congress, I was seeing him a lot, almost every day when I was going to pick up my kid.
Yeah,
I'll be seeing him across the street. I was like, yeah, look at you, man. I see you all the time. I guess that's when he was serious about contesting for Congress.
Yeah,
and I was like, look at you. Now you're making your face available. But, there was a time when I wanted to see you.
Yeah.
See you. Yeah. You weren't always around. And then I would see him on voting day. That was almost every time I went to vote, we always voted on the same day.
The point at which I think I personally lost respect for him was when he was like, hey, we all need to be on lockdown, etc., etc. And then he's going to the gym. You know, he's like, he's running around in the park. I was like, dude,
Ah,
I was like, dude, can you focus on getting the doctors and nurses some some PPE
yeah.
instead of going to the gym? Like, is going to the gym the most? And yes, I understand, right? It was a stressful time. The pandemic was in full swing. He needs to distress, etc., etc. But if the gym is shut down and nobody can go to
Can
the
go,
gym,
yeah.
maybe the mayor of NYC should not be going to the gym. Like,
You,
buy some equipment for your house and work out in the house.
you gotta set the example.
You have to set the example.
You can't make the rules and expect everyone to follow the rules and then
It's like Animal Farm. All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal
are more
than
equal than
others.
others.
Like
So,
what bullshit is this?
yeah.
So I was like, you know what? You're not even the effing mayor of New York City. Like, who the hell do you think you are? Just calm down. Stop worrying about this, right? Every day, turn on the TV, see how many more people have died. Thank God that you're not one of them, and keep it moving.
Yeah.
And yes, I know people listening will be like, "Oh my God, he's awful. He's terrible. He must be a terrible human being." I've already accepted that when I die, I'm going to hell. So, so what I've tried to do, is whoever I'm married to, if I go to heaven, it will be on the basis of my spouse. It will be, okay, Brian, you were going to go to hell, but your wife is such an amazing person that because of that, after you've served your time in purgatory, we will let you into heaven.
Sound
I've already
spousal visa.
exactly. I've already accepted it. But the only way I'm going to heaven is if I get a spousal visa.
Spousal visa to heaven. You had it here first. Oh man. So, well, since we already started on these challenges to supply chain during the pandemic with New York, let's make it a little bit broader. Well, it wasn't. I didn't. Well, let's just make it a little bit broader. We'll go to Africa.
Mhm.
So, what, in your opinion, are we missing when it comes to the discussion of supply chain as a solution to the challenges that Africa is facing? Like let's say West Africa, like when it comes to climate change, insecurity, inflation. Like right now, there's protests in Ghana from mostly young people, Mali, Guinea, Nigeria, a whole bunch of countries. Yes, but none of them still seem to look at supply chain. It's still just, it still sounds like everybody is talking about the stuff I was hearing 20 years ago. The expectations are still like, press that button and the solution will come.
So the I have to give a caveat.
Yeah.
Before I say anything. Um, I'm not an economist. Um, and I didn't study supply chain in school.
Yes.
So even though I'm an adjunct at the School of Engineering at NYU, I don't have a traditional supply chain background. I didn't even work in supply chain. I am completely self-taught
Yes.
when it comes to this topic. And the focus of what I've been trying to teach myself and what Lisa as well has been trying to teach herself, and the focus of our investment thesis at Refashioned Ventures, and the focus of the Worldwide Supply Chain Federation is this idea that supply chain is fundamental to everything that we do, right?
I agree.
Most people might not realize it, but the world around us, like, look around you in this room.
Mm-hmm.
If you can sense anything at all, touch it, feel it, see it, smell it, there's a supply chain associated with it.
I agree.
Right? Human civilization is built on supply chains.
100%.
And so when you see societies that are thriving, it's a reflection of the state of supply chains in that society. when you see societies that are not thriving, it's a reflection of supply chains in that society. Now, just like I said before, anytime you're talking about supply chains, there is a role for government
Yes.
and there is a role for the private sector. I think Africa's biggest problem is supply chain logistics infrastructure.
Mm.
Like let's not get into drones, let's not get into robotics,
Yes.
let's not get into like advanced warehouses where there's software controlling everything. Let's not even go that. Let's just start with the basics.
Yeah.
Good roads, good ports, good airports, roads to connect where stuff is being produced to where it is being consumed. If there's a farmer in Kano who is growing, cereals, who's growing corn and millet and groundnuts and whatnot, and the demand is in Lagos for that produce, do we have a road network or a rail network that connects that production with that demand?
Mm.
And I think we're lacking that. We're lacking that. It hits me. So as you probably know, I don't know if we talked about this in episode 15, but during my teenage years, during secondary school,
Yes.
before my WAEC O-level exams, I would go to school in Wa, and then when school, so my parents live in Kano.
Yes.
When it was time for me to go to secondary school, they said, Brian, you're the firstborn of the firstborn. You have to go back home. You have to go back home to learn the culture,
Yeah.
the language, to know the family, etc., etc. All this, you don't speak the language, you don't know your history. It's all like nonsense. So get ready, we're sending you home. And that's a whole other conversation that we can have. So I went to Xavier in Wa, and then when school was out of session, I would go to the village and live with my grandfather, right? So Christmas break, Easter break, I was in the village. For the first until Form 4, about half of long vacation in the summer, I was in the village. And then I would go to Kano for the rest. So for like a month, I would go and visit my parents in Kano. It was in Form 4, I think, that I spent the full long vacation in Kano. And then after Form 5. Anyway, so I lived with my grandfather. He had rheumatoid arthritis. So every evening when I was at home from school, when we got back from the farm, and we'd wake up at sunrise,
Yeah.
would get ready, walk to the farm, maybe 3-4 miles away, could have been longer, stay there all day, then come back home, then walk back home in the evening. So when we got home, I would take his bike and I'd ride around the village to find him a medication. Because the thing is, as you know, in that context, you're not buying a month's supply
No.
of medication, right? There's no pharmacist to prescribe medication for a month.
No.
So I would go to there were 2 people in the village that I could get tablets from, and I'd go and I'd buy like 2 or 3 of white tablets, which he would take, and that's how he managed to sleep at night. So when you're living in that context, that's what you do. That's life.
Yes.
You just deal with it. You move on. So that was life. I never thought about it. Moved on. He died in 96. About maybe 9 months before I came to the US. So then I'm now in the US. It's July 2019, right? I'm in the midst of trying to get the fund off the ground and so on and so forth. And I was reading an article by this Swiss company, Roche, the pharmaceutical company.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I can't remember the title of the article. It's maybe something like Fixing the Broken Supply Chain or something like that. It was in July 2019. But they were talking about their supply chain in Nigeria. And basically, as you know, if you know what the supply chain is like in Nigeria, you know what the supply chain is like in Ghana. Like
True.
there is no material difference,
Yes.
right? The reality is, for all intents and purposes, it's practically the same.
Mhm.
So the thing that absolutely floored me is they said because of all the inefficiencies in their supply chain in Nigeria, by the time their products get to the end customer, the markup is between 40% at the low end. And just to show you how crazy it is, how much do you think the high end of that range would be? Just take a wild guess.
70?
700%.
Oh,
700%.
I was missing 1 0. 700.
700%.
Wow.
Let me say that again.
700%.
Not 70%, not 100%,
100.
not 200%,
Yeah.
not 300%, not 500%, not 600%, 700%. And I was talking to my good friend in WC, Ekekwe. He's the chairman of Fast Micro, and I got to know him. Somehow I found him. I was like, Andy, I think you're going to do great things in the future. I just need to be connected to you. So we connected, and then he was like, hey, Brian, you should write for Techidia. So I wrote for Techidia for like 4 years. Techidia is the media arm of his company. And so when I read it, I was like, Andy, does this make sense? And he said, actually, Brian, I think they might be understating.
Wow.
I think they might be understating it, because he said it's very likely that there are things they are not accounting for, not because they don't want to account for them, but because they just can't account for them. And he gave me an example. He said, okay, so, there's a tomato farmer in Kano, and, a truck goes to Kano, loads up on tomatoes, is trying to take them to Abuja or Lagos, but it breaks down.
Yes.
And it's stuck for 2 or 3 or 4 days or even a week.
I'm aware of that.
Like that's all. And I was like, Brian, of course. I was one time when I was in secondary school,
Yeah,
our
I've
bus
seen stuff like that.
broke down. Our bus broke down, and we were in the middle of the bush for 1 week. So
Wow.
so that's entirely this isn't something that we're like pulling out of thin air and making up.
With the tomatoes,
This is
I
a
recall
reality.
seeing something like that, because it's like not just that example, just you saying that, it's like the smell starts coming.
This is
I
a
can start
reality.
smelling
This
it,
is a
'cause
reality.
I remember seeing how many bad tomatoes.
Right?
And,
Tomatoes, okra,
Mm-hmm.
any kind of vegetable, right? If you're transporting livestock,
Yep.
right, and you're stuck in the middle of nowhere for 7 days, what happens to whether it's chickens or goats or sheep or cows, right? Think of all and so he was like, yeah, that's 700%. I think it might be low. I was like, Jesus Christ, Andy is right. I haven't been home for so long that I'm starting to. So I think it's really just starting with the basics. The roads, the airports, the ports. We had one event. So once in a while, Refashioned Ventures, we get executives together, and we get some speakers on the topic. And so we had a gentleman from Cargill. I think it was March of 2020. We had a gentleman from Cargill, and he was talking about how one of their ships was stuck outside the ports in Lagos for like 30 days. I mean, just think of all and whatever the produce is that they're trying to get into the port, or whatever it is they're trying to pick up from the port, right? All those costs have to be baked in. They have to be baked in. They have to be baked in somewhere. Right. So I really think it's starting with the basics. Now the other argument we make is that at the end of the day, supply chain is an economic multiplier. If you just get those basics right, right, just the roads, the airports, and that sort of thing, then the tomato farmer will earn more. Because he is earning more, he can employ more people. Or maybe he doesn't employ more people, right? Maybe he's a subsistence farmer like my grandpa and is not really like hiring people on his farm. But because he's making more, he spends more on other goods and
Yeah.
services. So those merchants, they can hire more people, right? He's buying more stuff. So someone can start doing more manufacturing or whatever. But just fixing supply chains so that they function, it doesn't have to be like dramatically better than they currently function, but so that they function better than they currently do. It starts this multiplier effect, right? The economy is stronger, people are making more money, um, uh, and then you go from there. When I read articles in which people are like, "Oh, we should do all this very advanced, very sophisticated technology because that's the way to go." I'm like, "No, let's get the basics. Let's get the fundamentals
You know
right
what?
first."
Who you sound like? Who you remind me of? You remind me of the person who he's not the favorite, but he's like if you talk to most Nigerians with internet access,
Mhm.
he's their favorite, Peter Obi, who is considered as the person who might disrupt this election.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because that's what he's saying. He doesn't. It's not like he's coming to any solution that sounds like, oh, we are going to build we're going to turn Nigeria to America or turn it
No,
into
no,
Dubai. It's like
no.
the solution is the people.
Yeah,
It's in there because
let's get the
I was listening
basics.
to an interview that he
Yeah.
had, and he
Yeah.
said he traveled to Morocco. He went to Egypt,
Yeah.
and they were like, "Why did you go to Morocco?" And Egypt said, "Because Morocco has uh, it has like the best functioning ports in
Yeah.
Africa."
Yeah.
And he said, "I had to go see how they are doing it
Yeah.
because Morocco has like 30 something million people.
Yeah.
Nigeria has 200 million
200
people.
million.
Our
Yeah.
ports are not
Yeah.
functioning. So I have to go see how the people who have
Yeah.
lesser people
Yeah.
but functioning ports, what is working there." And when I got there, I realized it's just people. That's the difference. There are
Let me
people
see.
to
Let me
make
see
it
if I.
work.
Let me see if I can pull up this article on my phone.
And
I wrote an article for Freight Waves
yeah.
um about let me see, Africa logistics. Boy.
And most of his solutions are just I'm not I'm going it's along that line of it's I don't think I've heard him say supply chain specifically, but it's he talks in more simplistic
Terms.
terms, which I believe is why many people relate to him. Like even my mom sent me a text saying, "Okay, that's who she's going to vote for." I was like, "Okay, she's 86. She kind of gets the message. All right."
So um on January 16th
Mm-hmm.
of 2020, uh so background, I used to write a weekly column for Freight Waves.
Yes, I
Freight
remember.
Waves is the I think it's the biggest media portal for news about logistics and supply chain, and definitely in the United States, possibly in the world. So April 2019 to April 2021, I wrote a weekly column for them. So January 16th, 2020, it was a Thursday. The title of my column was Modernizing Africa's Logistics Capacity, One Startup at a Time. And I think the part of it that is relevant for what we're talking about is, where I talk about the problem. I think I called it defining the problem. So the World Bank has what they call they have a logistics performance index. And the logistics performance index basically ranks countries on the basics of how sophisticated or how efficient their logistics infrastructure is. So at the time I was writing the article, the most recent rankings were from 2018. They covered 160 countries. And what you'll notice when you look at the logistics performance index is that highly developed economies tend to have a high rank on the index, and less developed countries rank lower on the index. For that ranking, Germany had the best rank of 1. African countries don't appear on the ranking until 33. They don't appear on the index until number 33. That is South Africa. Then Cote d'Ivoire and Rwanda are 50 and 57 respectively.
Oh, wow.
Kenya is 68. Benin and Mauritius are 76 and 78 respectively. You're probably thinking, Brian, you are Ghanaian, I am Nigerian. Where are Ghana and Nigeria? Why are you holding out on me, right? That's what you're thinking. You're like, I'm
just waiting for
Nigeria is the biggest, the most populous country in Africa. Why are we talking about Rwanda? Why are we talking about
Rwanda
Mauritius?
is landlocked, by the
Why
way.
are we talking about Mauritius? Let's get to the heart of the matter. Ghana is number 106.
106. Wow.
Nigeria is number 110.
110. Oof. Woo.
And I made this statement. Nigeria's position is noteworthy since it is Africa's largest economy and also has by far the largest population of any African country. China is number 26. Vietnam is number 39. Malaysia is number 41. India is number 44. Indonesia is number 46. Turkey is number 47. Mexico is number 51. Brazil is number 56. Russia is number 75. Nigeria is number 110. Ghana is number 106.
Yeah, we go big, you know. Everything's
this is a situation in which Niger no they carry last has been misapplied. It has been misapplied. No. This is and then yeah. So I actually talk about in this article. So the audience, if you remember to find this article,
I'm definitely gonna read that.
Modernizing Africa's logistics capacity, one startup at a time, at Freight Waves. So I talk about the article from Roche that I mentioned before, and then I talk about an article entitled Aid for Trade and Value Chains in Transport and Logistics, a paper written in 2013. And they make the statement, one well-known connection between transport and logistics and development is in facilitating international trade transactions, which under appropriate circumstances boost national income, reduce poverty, and thus contribute to economic and social development, right? That's what we were talking about before. And then there's another paper, that's the Roche paper. Then in How Online Marketplaces Can Power Employment in Africa, that was published in 2019 by the Boston Consulting Group. They stated the cost of getting a product from the factory to an end user within Europe adds around 90% to that product's manufacturing cost. In Africa, logistics adds an average of 320% to a manufactured goods cost.
Wow. 300.
So almost 4 times what the additional cost is to manufacture
Okay.
and transport a product in Europe is the equivalent in
Africa.
so it's really like, let's just get the basics. Let's just get the basics right.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just get the basics right. Let's get ports that work. Let's get a rail system that works to move goods and people. Let's put our roads. Let's put our road network in order. And they don't even have to be any like fancy roads. Like,
No,
let's just
it's I mean, the day I went to 2018, I was in Dominican Republic. I went to Punta Cana for a wedding, and when I came out of the plane, and on my way back, that's when it dawned on me when I noticed the airport and I saw the palm trees at the runway, and I was like, yeah, this this is Niger Delta. This is literally Niger Delta environment.
yeah.
But when I see an airport, all the new airports being built in Nigeria, it's literally like they're trying to build a LaGuardia type of airport,
No.
JFK. I'm like, why you guys spend billions?
Let's just
Why you guys spend billions
let's
to have a
just get the
functioning
basics.
airport?
Let's just get the basics right.
I've seen airports in Mississippi, airports in Alabama. They are not the fanciest airports in the world, but they function.
Yes.
They get the job done.
Yes, get the job.
Same thing in Dominican
Yes.
Republic. There you have
Get the
I saw
job.
airlines from Russia. I saw airlines from China. I saw airlines from Turkey bringing tourists there.
That's exactly
getting the job done.
That's exactly.
But
that's
somebody
exactly it.
in Akwa Ibom will say, "Well, we need to build an airport, but it has to be. You have to spend $1 billion, and of course, we know why it has to be $1 billion." I'm like, no, it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't.
No,
let's just get the job.
Just get the job done.
Just get
That's
the
it.
job done.
Same thing with railway. That's why it's taking how many years? Nigeria is 61 years old, and it's not that you're just getting railway from
Kano to
Abuja.
That's just insane. Isn't that insane?
Yeah, and that's why you can't go from Lagos to Calabar with railway because
You know,
you can only build
now
one
that
line from one.
and now that I have a better understanding of these things,
Mm-hmm.
I now understand why. Because when I was a kid in Kano, there were all these, agricultural development,
Yep.
irrigation. The Woodil local government, they had all these great irrigation plans. The Ringim local government, Katsina and all, and none of them went anywhere because it doesn't matter if you can produce something, if you can't get it to the market. If you can't get it, if you can't get it to the like, what's the point?
Mm-hmm. That's all the granite pyramid.
Yes.
What happened to it?
You can produce all the groundnuts you want in Kano.
Yeah.
If you can't get it to Lagos or to Abuja or to Port Harcourt or to wherever, it doesn't matter.
Does it?
It doesn't matter that you can produce you can produce all those things. It all goes to waste.
Yeah. So, and then once in a while, when you now have somebody who will now say, shut down all the borders for the trucks transporting.
It just makes things worse.
Years.
In that same article I was just talking about, I think I went into a discussion of the Africa Free Trade area agreement, and I really it's two things, right? One, it is that's, and I don't have the exact numbers, but it's in the article. Africa, compared to other regions of the world, Africa has the lowest level of intracontinental trade, right? So
yes,
between countries on the same continent,
Yeah, it was not too long ago.
Africa.
I discovered that, and I was like, yeah, that's true. I don't see us
It's
trading with each other. Every
yeah,
other continent, they all trade with each other.
yeah. Most
Your
of
biggest
the
trading partner
trade,
is your
yes,
next door
is your
neighbor.
next door neighbor, or
Only
you
when
know
it comes
someone
to
in the
Africa, you hear that, oh, our biggest trading partner is somebody who's on another continent far away.
No,
And it
and so
doesn't make sense.
so fixing, just like I said, fixing the
And that's part of the
fundamentals.
basics.
Fixing the fundamentals, and then let's trade with one another.
Yeah. But if you and that also would have boosted your roads, your railway,
Yes.
because that's an incentive for having good roads and
Yes,
good railway,
exactly.
because you
Exactly.
need good railway transporting your goods
Exactly.
next door. But if
Exactly.
only your eyes on, I have to ship my goods to China, or ship my goods to United States, ship my goods to the EU. Why are you thinking of having a railway that would take goods to Accra or
and the
Lomé
thing is, a lot of the stuff that would benefit from intracontinental trade is not the same stuff that people in the U.S. want from.
Yeah.
Right. People in the U.S. don't want tomatoes from Nigeria.
No.
Right. They are not. They're not looking for tomatoes
No.
from the. Now, people in Niger might be excited about tomatoes from Nigeria. Right.
Yeah.
People in Chad might be excited about tomatoes. People in Burkina Faso. People in Ghana. Right. People in Benin.
Yeah.
Now people in the US, they want our oil, maybe they want our bauxite, they want our iron ore, etc., and that's all well and good. We should develop all those industries and whatnot. You can do two things at once. Yeah.
But anyway, we shall
Exactly.
take a quick break, and when we come back, we shall dive into more supply chain and other questions that I have. So stay with us. Hi, everyone. We've made it 2 years, and who would have thought so? So let's go further and make it 3, make it 4, make it 5, make it 6, who knows? 20. But we can't do this without your support. So join us on Patreon at patreon.com/whitelabelamericanpod or linktree.com/whitelabelamerican. Go there and you'll see our Patreon link, and you can join us for as low as $3. We have bonus content, we have bonus materials. There's so much juice over there that we don't release to the public, and you can contribute in making this podcast better. You can send questions, you can send your ideas, and also there's a lot of new things that are coming. The announcements are made on Patreon first, because we have to, take care of people who help make this podcast possible. So you can be the one to make this podcast what you want it to be. Come join us on Patreon and make it what you would like to see. Join us, make it fantastic. Keep the 5 stars coming in, keep the love coming in. Thank you for the privilege of your company. All right.
When it comes to talking, I'm always. Did I ever tell you this story? So my friend Catherine Finney, she's CEO of a company called Genius Guild. It's a fund. It's a new fund. I've been helping her build it since she started it, and she just published a book, Build a Damn Thing, which is a fantastic book.
I like that title.
Anyway, so she was running an accelerator in Atlanta, and one time she invited me. She said, "Hey, Brian, would you come hang out with our entrepreneurs in training? Talk about startups, business models, that kind of thing." I hate traveling, but Catherine, I said, yes, I'll come. So I went to Atlanta, landed, and got to the big incubator around 10 in the morning. Started talking as soon as I walked in. Kept talking, skipped lunch, skipped dinner.
Oh, no.
We didn't leave till 11 at night. I was like, have I been talking nonstop since I arrived? Since I arrived, they said, yes, Brian, you didn't even eat. You've been talking. I was like, oh my God. Anyway, the only thing I can say is I'm my mother's son. So
Hey.
my mother would have been proud.
Uh, yep. I got that too. I don't know if I got it from my mom, but yeah, probably I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a nice segue there, because yeah, I haven't asked you about fatherhood. So yeah, let me just dive into that. So being that you're a dad raising a kid, and now you've been through a pandemic. Well, we're still in a pandemic. Well, now it's now for some people it's an endemic, but I still say we're in a pandemic.
Yeah.
So how has it been? This navigating this journey of fatherhood with you know, as you like to say, you have the friendliness of Ghana with the arrogance of
Very
Nigeria.
nice.
So how has that helped you navigate the journey of fatherhood?
So I think my situation is a little bit unique in the sense that my my ex-wife and I
Yeah.
divorced in 2008. So our son was, I think we separated before he turned 1,
Mm,
and we divorced a few days
okay.
before his first birthday. And he lives with my ex and his stepdad
Yeah.
in Connecticut. Um, so I think our situation is unique. Now, that being said, most of the time when people hear that we went through a divorce, it's like, oh, that's so sad and whatnot. To be honest, I think it was the best thing that could have happened to us
Mm-hmm.
because we're still friends, right?
Yeah.
If I'm counting my best friends, she'll be number 2, maybe number 3.
Mm.
No, she's definitely one of my best friends. My son is extremely lucky because his stepdad is an amazing person. Dan is
Mm.
fantastic. I think the world of Dan. And so he's lucky in the sense that, he has a big family. He has a lot of people who care about him.
Yeah.
He has a lot of people who love him. He has siblings. Dan had a son before they got married. Then he met Meg, and then they've had kids. They've had kids themselves.
Yeah.
So he now has siblings. He has a big brother, and he has younger siblings, right? So he's had to learn how to live with an older brother and younger siblings. And so I think his experience of the pandemic was different in that sense. He did really well during the pandemic. His grades have been excellent. In fact, his last report card, I think it was A's and A pluses. And I was cracking a joke. I said he's been on the honor roll. He's made it on the honor roll the entire time through the entire pandemic.
Nice.
And so I was cracking a joke. I was like, I'm in this awkward position where I feel as if he's going to call me to come into his office one day, and he's going to say we need to have a performance review discussion, and he's going to tell me I'm not meeting expectations. He's going to tell me that you weren't meeting expectations. You really need to step up your performance. But he has been extremely lucky. And I can't claim a lot of credit for it. His mom and his stepdad, and his grandparents have done most of the heavy lifting.
Awesome.
But he has, and I know it hasn't been the same for everyone. The pandemic has been difficult for a lot of children, but he has thrived.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you got to share that the aspect of your life that you were divorced from your son's mom, and before I came to certain awareness, I think it was always like, you can't be friends with if you're divorced, it's like enemies for life, that kind of thing. And I remember the first time I saw a divorced couple, well, a person who had been divorced. I was in the Navy, and a gentleman who he was ex-military who was working with us, was one of the defense contractors, and he came up to me. I was like, "Hey, I need your help this weekend. Can you, are you free?" I was like, "Sure." I was like, "What you need my help with?" And it's like, "Oh, I need to help my ex move furniture. She's moving to a new town. So, are you free to take a trip?"
Mhm.
I was like, "Did you mean your wife?" Oh,
Oh, what's
did I not
going
hear you
on?
clearly?
Did I?
You said ex. It's like, "Oh yeah, but my ex, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm cool with my ex-wife. Well, we're good friends." And
Yeah.
he was, I think he was a little bit older than us. He was in his 50s. And I was like, "Huh, that's weird. Help his ex-wife." I was like, "Oh, okay, maybe, well, he's an older black gentleman. Well, maybe I'll go. Maybe I should
Yeah.
just go see
Yeah. Yeah.
what this guy's talking
Yeah.
about. Or maybe he got this thing where he's still dating his ex-wife
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
side."
Yeah.
So I show up, and when I show up, his wife opens the door when I knock on the door. "Hey, how you doing? You must be Raphael. Welcome." So I was like, "Huh? That are you?" I called the name. She's like, "Oh, no, no, no. I'm his wife." Wait, I'm like, "Wait, your wife?"
Your mind
So
was
my
exploding.
head was exploding there. Like, "Wait a minute, you're the wife? What are you doing here? Why's the wife here?" I'm confused. So we helped the lady pack her stuff, and I end up riding in the same car with the ex,
Yeah.
and we're driving from
Yeah.
Virginia Beach to
Yeah.
I think it was Charlottesville.
Yeah.
So on the ride, I just had to ask the ex, like, "Hey, so you were really married to this guy?" And she's like, "Yeah, things didn't work out, so we had to
Yeah.
go separate ways.
Yeah.
Not the end of the world,
Yeah.
But he was a great guy." And she was like saying, and she was just describing the person that I've
That you
known.
know. Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like, "Huh, yeah, that's just weird. I wasn't used to
So,
this.
yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
used to people being enemies."
Yeah. So
You know?
I think, at least from my perspective, I think definitely if there are children involved,
Yeah.
you have to try to do what's best for the children.
Yeah, but I think
And
if I
being-
never had that interaction, I think that was what started the change.
Mhm.
Like, that was what showed me that there are other
There are other ways.
there are other ways.
Yeah.
There's not
There
always
are other ways.
one.
Yeah.
It's not always black
Yeah.
or white.
Yeah. Yeah.
And after I had that discussion with the woman, I was like, "Oh, okay. So if there are people who do not talk anymore just because they were once married,
Yeah.
there are people who could be best of friends.
Yeah.
Like, it's not abnormal
It's
for people
not-
to say,
yeah,
"Oh,
yeah,
we were
yeah.
once married.
Yeah.
We're best of friends." Like, now I actually know a podcast hosted by an ex husband and wife. They got great chemistry, but
Yeah.
they were one day they woke up and said, "Yeah, it's not working
is
out."
not working.
But I think we should go separate ways. But now they actually host a podcast together and got great chemistry.
Yeah.
And it was actually, I heard them on another podcast, and that's when they talked about being divorced. I was like, "Oh, really? I never knew."
I had no idea.
I had no idea.
No,
That, so
I think if you fundamentally love people and you also accept that human beings are not perfect,
yes,
it's easier for you to, work. And I'm not saying that that going through a divorce, whatever causes the divorce, I'm not saying it's not difficult, right? I'm not trying to minimize it. I'm not trying to make it seem like it's it's a walk in the park. It's difficult, but I think if you acknowledge those two things, that people generally try to do the right thing, and people are not perfect, even though they're trying to do the right thing, that you can move on from, the pain and the hurts and whatnot, and hopefully you can arrive at a better place.
that's true. That's true. So yeah, So now I'm no longer in that space where it's always because I also know people who try to do the battle of the sexes thing.
It
They'll
it,
try,
it, it it's
and I'm
it's
like, yeah,
it's
I'm done.
that
I don't need to be in that space.
I've never seen that. I've never seen that. And like I said, especially if they're children, I've
Yeah.
never seen that work. I've never seen that work
Hmm.
for the kids. And I'm always like, if there are kids involved, you just have to try to do what's best for the children. They didn't ask for this.
No.
They didn't ask for this mess that you've created.
Hmm.
So for crying out loud, don't cause them any more trauma than is necessary. Like minimize the trauma as much as possible.
Yeah. So is your kid into supply chain too? I'd ask.
I think he appreciates the topic. I don't know if I'd say he's into it. I think he understands more so than someone his age.
Okay.
So I'll tell you an example. There was one day I was in the car with him. I think we were driving to Stamford to do something, and he asked me, "So, Dad, what exactly is a supply chain?" So, I started trying to explain it, and he was about 9 years old. I started trying to explain it, and in my head, in my head, I was like, "How do I explain this so that a 9-year-old will understand?" So as I was explaining, he stopped me and he said, "Oh, so what you mean is the reason we should always check on Amazon if we want to buy something is because they have an amazing supply chain and they can bring what you want to your house while you're playing video games." 9 years old. He wants to play video games. The only thing he cares about is video games. I was like, you understand what a supply chain.
There you go.
I was like, you have got you understand the essence of what a supply chain is. You understand the essence.
Start young.
But it also made me realize something, how much of a challenge the companies that are competing with Amazon have. If the way a 9-year-old understands supply chain is through their experience with Amazon. So, but that's but that's a completely different conversation.
Oh man, yep. That's that's something that it is a completely different conversation.
This is like Walmart. Who else? Target. Who else? All those other companies.
Costco.
All those companies that are competing with Amazon in some way.
Yeah, I mean, today's kids, they don't really know mom and pop shops.
They don't.
It's Amazon is all they know. They expect like even Clara says it too. She's like my daughter says, you go buy that stuff on the internet.
Right, go get it. Go to Amazon. Like,
I want Miss Marvel costume. go on the internet and buy it. I said, what?
Exactly.
You go on the internet and buy it.
Yeah.
I said, what do you mean go on the internet and buy it?
Yeah.
Go on the internet and buy it.
Yeah.
I want Miss Marvel costume and the bangle too. Go on the internet and buy it.
Exactly.
I said, girl, you don't work like that. I even know how much the costume costs. Go on the internet and buy it then. I'm like, geez, you know what? It's all right. I'll go check how much it costs first.
Yeah.
And then ask one of my friends, can you sew that costume too? Like, she won't know. I'll just go out when she's at school. I'll go get it and come back. Oh yeah, it came in the mail. Wrap it up.
Yeah.
Put it in a box.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah, let me start to wrap it up because I don't think I'll have enough time to go everywhere I would love to go with you.
Yeah.
But so we'll definitely plan for a part 3 down the line. But let me see, where will I go? All right, let's go. Let's stick with the fun questions. So since we already have you here, let's see. Yeah, let's see if this question will change from last time you were here. Cuisine. Has your favorite cuisine changed?
So actually, this evening,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm excited to get back home. I'm going to make amala with ewedu and okra soup.
Oh,
That's what I'm going to.
man wants to
That's what I'm
change
going.
my appetite. Every time you
That's
come here,
what
you always change my
That's
appetite.
what I'm going. And I took a walk. So this morning I walked 15 miles, and while I was walking, I was on Twitter, and I found this tweet by someone in Nigeria. He was like, "Oh, I finally decided to try amala with ewedu soup." I was like, "Yep, that's what I'm having this evening." I was like, "That's what." He has a video. He has a video of him eating. I was like, "Yep, that's what I'm doing this evening."
So have you made amala before?
Yeah. I know how to make it.
Okay. Yeah, I've never tried making amala before. I just eat it.
Amala, eba.
Well, eba is the easiest.
Pounded yam.
Eba is survival. Like
tuwon zafi, the whole. I can make all of
oh,
it.
you can make tuwon zafi.
Yeah.
There's a friend. I know you don't like traveling, but in case you ever make it to Manchester, UK, she's been on the podcast too. By the way, my friend who's from northern Nigeria, from Gombe. She actually makes food from northern Nigeria in Manchester.
What's the name of her business?
Oh,
is it Northern something? I think I follow her.
You follow her on
Instagram.
Yeah, she has. Let me just pull up.
You know the problem with following people on Instagram. On a day when you are looking at white rice with one kind japajantis thing like this, they'll post a video of tuwon zafi with the miyan kuka, or tuwon zafi the miyan taushe, or something like that, and I'll be like, man, I didn't need to see. This is not the day on which I needed to see this. I'm sitting here with white rice. One kind jagwajantis stew like this. You're showing me tuwon zafi with all this yummy soup.
Oh yes, you're following her Ilamisi Northern Taste.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, she's. I'm like, yeah. The day I arrive in Manchester, UK, that's
the first.
I'm coming straight to your house.
Straight from the airport.
Just come pick me up from the airport and. With one tray, I'll be in the back seat.
Exactly.
I'm not even sitting down in the front.
Exactly. Arrive with something so that
if you show up without food, we'll start fighting there. It's straight fight.
It doesn't. It can be an appetizer. It can be like can be like kose.
Don't bring kuli. I don't want kuli. That's too hard for my teeth.
It can be kose with suya and kilishi.
Mm-hmm.
And then a few
fresh kunu.
Yeah, and then a few iced kunu or zoborodo.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't have to be anything complex.
I don't think I want zobo. Don't bring zobo because my Mexican neighbor made. I didn't realize that you know how, was it like 3 years ago I realized that zobo is hibiscus.
Yeah. Zobo is what did you think it was?
Nah. The things you'll be discovering in your adult years. I sold Zobo. I didn't even know it was hibiscus I was selling.
It's so there's two. So Zobo is there's a at home. Zobo is the red one. Mm-hmm. Then there is a white one.
Oh,
and the white Zobo is used in groundnut soup.
Oh,
it's a delicacy. It's used in groundnut soup. Like you only make.
Sarah, I hope you are listening. That's the one I would drink.
I don't know what it's. I can't remember what it's called in northern Nigeria, but in northern Ghana, that soup, the groundnuts with the hibiscus flowers, is called jojo.
Okay, well, Sarah, she will figure it out. And when you make that one for me,
when you make that with TZ, oh boy, it's
okay. So
it's something else.
That's the one you make that one for me too. That's the one you make for me. That's the one we eat. So you make that one. Sarah, when I come to Manchester, make that one for me too. Because when I found it was actually it was. I think the first person that tried to tell me that. I think but when I was in the Navy, that was meat pie. That was meat pie when my Trinidad Tobagan
Friend.
sister introduced me to their store in Norfolk, and I was like, "Oh, you people have meat pie here?" And she said, "No, it's beef patty." I was like, what are you calling it?
It's meat pie.
It's meat pie. What the hell? What's wrong with you people?
Beef patty, meat pie.
I said it's meat pie, and that turned into an argument. And, I was still JJC from Nigeria. I was like, what's wrong? You people from Trinidad Tobago, what are you calling? She said, no, meat pie is different. This is meat pie. This is beef patty.
Oh, okay.
That's the same mindset that was when somebody mentioned,
hibiscus.
Hibiscus.
Yeah.
You want to drink? And I tasted. I said, "This is Zobo." What do you mean?
Hibiscus.
What do you mean hibiscus? He says Zobo. It's hibiscus. Look at it. Hibiscus flower. I said the flower is advertisement, man. This. What you mean?
It's a kind of
later
hibiscus.
I was telling someone in my family, and the person said, "Oh yeah, Zobo is hibiscus actually."
Yep.
I said, "So you mean when I was in Ibadan selling the Zobo that my aunt was making? That was hibiscus. It was hibiscus. Why didn't she tell me it was hibiscus? Why are you calling it Zobo?" She said, "Zobo is hibiscus."
It's hibiscus. So it's very rich. It's very rich in vitamin C though.
Mm-hmm. But I just said I thought Zobo was a different plant.
No.
And
it's hibiscus.
I was there because I used to pluck hibiscus and suck the nectar as a kid.
Yeah.
Nobody told me.
It's a kind of hibiscus.
How many arguments have I gotten into and cussing people out? So I apologize. Yeah, the guy didn't know. He was not aware. There was no scientific book in front of him to tell him that Zobo was hibiscus. Okay.
So I'm getting the sense that. I think we talked about this before, but I can't remember if it's you or it's Verena who can make jollof.
Yeah, it's Verena can make jollof.
It's Verena who can make
she
jollof.
swears by Nigerian jollof.
Yeah.
I don't discriminate in jollof.
I don't discriminate. I don't discriminate
but
either.
I think the best jollof I've eaten from all, because I've eaten almost all West. I've not eaten from Niger. I've not eaten from Chad. So I think those are the two countries left. But I've eaten from Cameroon, Congo, DR Congo. I've not eaten from Brazzaville also. DR Congo, Cameroon, Gabon. So if you're from Gabon, bring your jollof so we can.
Is there a Cameroonian restaurant in New York?
That's true. I've not. There's one Cameroonian lady she's still postponing coming here. So she needs to show up. I'm waiting for you. So show up. I need to ask my Malian brother. He's worked in the restaurant industry, so he's the guy who knows all the restaurant places.
That would be an amazing, because one of the things I try to do is if I find an African restaurant in New York,
there's one I need to send you. The gentleman is from, I haven't been there yet, but it's a different type of Nigerian place. It's I saw it on the website. It's I think it's from Kogi. So it's food. Majority of the food there is mostly central to northern Nigeria.
Oh yeah, yes, I would love to.
It's not a regular style restaurant. He makes it like everybody there has to be like in a circle,
a communal thing. Yeah. I'd love to check it out.
Yeah, so I just need to remember to send you the.
I'd love to check it. My uncle some time ago brought me kuka. So kuka is baobab tree leaves, dried and ground.
I don't think I've ever had.
And I finished it some time ago. Twanzafi the mian kuka.
I've only had baobab juice. There was a Senegalese place that I thought was going to open at the Albi Square Mall. Food. There's a food court downstairs at the mall. And you have food from almost everywhere in the world. But I met the guy, the Senegalese guy was there just like the week they opened. I happened to run into him and we had a great chat. He knew food from almost everywhere in West Africa. And he even gave me free food. And after that day, I've never seen them again.
Yeah. The restaurant business is hard, man. The restaurant business is tough. Even when the produce and ingredients you rely on for whatever cuisine you make are easy to to source.
Mhm.
It's a difficult business. So I just think about, people who are running African restaurants. I'm like, man, this has to be really,
Yeah,
really, really hard.
the Malian guy who I referenced, I haven't released this episode yet,
Yeah.
but by the time this episode comes out, I would have
Yeah.
released this
Yeah,
episode. He is someone who literally walked his way from the bottom of restaurant business
Industry, to
up,
the top. Yeah.
and he referenced something like that.
It's tough.
It's tough. It's tough.
It's
yeah.
tough. It's tough. And yeah, it's tough. It's not for the faint of heart.
Nope.
It's not. If you're faint-hearted, don't start a restaurant.
So now let's go to the next question that I know you will love. So the podcast has evolved from your last time here.
Yep.
And so now every guest is automatically granted dancing shoes because we crown you a dancer.
Yep.
So if you claim you don't dance, we have to kick you out and stop recording.
No, in my case, dancing is I love to dance.
Well, we know.
I absolutely love to dance.
You're one of the few who, even if you claim you don't dance, nobody will believe you. So we need you to dance for 1 hour, and we need you to drop 3 artists that can keep you dancing for 1 hour. So, but there's a catch. You can't give us the most popular names like Burna Boy has been banned from this podcast. You can't, because too many people have been naming Burna Boy. Like, come on, there are other people, and you can't go give us what's that guy from Ghana? The one who was fighting with Burna Boy on Twitter.
What's his name? Jesus Christ!
If I hear his name now, he was on Black is King. Shatawale.
I was just going to say Shatawale.
Shatawale. Yeah. So I'll add him too to the list.
Yeah.
Because I like his music too.
Yeah.
So since equal opportunity, so no Burna Boy, no Shatawale. So you give us 3 artists. You can give us somebody from Kano. I don't think there's any Kano musician that has been mentioned on this podcast. If you want, and you can. I know Beyonce's album is out now. I love the Beehive. You can all donate to the podcast or buy merch, but no Beyonce also.
So and I can't, this really is a trick question.
Yes.
So Imbilia Bell.
I know that name. Oh, she's from Congo.
Yes.
Yeah, she's on Clara's playlist.
Imbilia Bell. Tabule. He's also from Congo.
Someone's betraying Ghana and Nigeria.
And then, no, I'm not going to give you names.
Start sharpening your knives.
No, like obviously.
Get on your Twitter now.
No, like obviously, there's going to be a lot of Ghana and Nigeria on my playlist. Like, if I gave you Ghanaian and Nigerian artists, like, I would not be expanding the conversation. I'm all about expanding our sphere of knowledge and that sort of thing. I am sure a lot of your listeners have maybe never heard of Imbilia Bell. They've never heard of Tabule. Let's throw in some Ebenezer Obey. Let's throw in...
old school there.
What was this woman's name that I used to have a crush on?
Sabena?
No.
Sabena.
Onyeka Onwenu. Yes, Onyeka Onwenu.
Are you the first person to mention Onyeka Onwenu?
Let's throw in some Felix Lebati. Let's throw in some Chris Okoti.
Felix Liberty.
Let's throw in
Felix
some
Liberty.
I used to walk
past his house.
Let's throw in some of the people that
I need to go look up Felix Liberty's video.
Today's artists are standing on the shoulders of those people, right?
Yes.
The Burna Boy, Davido, Zlatan, Fireboy.
Yes.
Right.
That's true.
What's her name? The queen of Afrobeats.
Yemi
Alade. Yes. Alade, right? They're all standing on the shoulders of these.
I used to walk past
people.
The house that was claimed to be Felix Liberty's house as a kid.
Yeah.
The few times I walked from school.
Yeah.
It was like, that's Felix Liberty's house.
Yeah.
It was an uncompleted building, by the way.
Those are the people who back
I
in
forgot that name.
when we were
Felix Liberty.
when we were kids,
Mhm.
right? Those were
I wonder what happened to him. I
that
don't know
was
if
the
he's still alive.
that was the soundtrack of our childhood,
Yeah.
and a lot of these
Oh,
musicians.
Charlie Boy was on the program that I usually go on, the forum that I attend.
Yeah.
He was interviewed last week. Was it last weekend? And then Nigerian internet cut him off.
You know who I forgot to mention?
Oh.
Sheena Peters.
Hey, Sheena Peters, Afro Juju.
She Afro
That
Juju.
guy, that first two albums.
That first.
I don't think there's any artist that has come close to that first album in my lifetime.
People would lose their minds.
Ooh. I've never seen anything like that.
People would lose.
The whole country.
They would lose their minds.
Sheena Peters.
Exactly, Sheena Peters.
Sheena Peters. Ooh.
And then Sunny Ade.
Well, we've had
Obviously.
Sonny Ade on the podcast.
Yeah.
Well, Sheena Peters, that album.
Peters.
Oh, man.
Exactly.
You just play the whole from beginning to the end.
From beginning to the end. You don't need to do. You don't need to
dance and forget your sorrow.
Exactly. That's all you need.
Oh man, that's a good one. All right, final question. What would you like to leave the audience with? It could be a quote from one of your articles that you've written. Could be a quote from one of your tweets. Could be a quote from one of the books that you've read, or could be from you've written a book too. So, from one of your lectures. So, your freestyle moment, or it could be from one of your Felix Liberty songs.
There's a book I bought while I was a CFA candidate. It's called Hell Week.
Hell Week.
I'm going to butcher this, but you actually might know about this more so than I do. But apparently, when you are going through training to become a Navy SEAL,
Mm-hmm.
there's a week when most people, like, this is the week during which we're going to separate the boys from the men.
Yes.
To decide who has what it takes to remain a Navy SEAL and who has been clowning around for this entire time. Right. And one of the messages he gives early in the book is that you are capable of more than you think.
Mm.
And that's something that has always, since I read it, it has always stuck with me, right? Because we are trying to accomplish things, and it's easy to get caught up in, in our case, trying to build a fund. Oh, we don't know rich people. We are not rich ourselves. How are we going to do this? How are we going? And, yes, all those constraints are absolutely true. No one is saying that they are not. But if you remember that you are capable of a lot more than you think, I think then you owe it to yourself to go back to the drawing board and find another way. Now, that doesn't mean you will always succeed. I'm not saying that you will always succeed, because constraints are real, right?
Yep.
Constraints in the world are real. And if you don't have resources, you don't have resources. But that way of thinking says to me, instead of giving up at the least difficulty or at the least obstacle that you encounter, like, find another way. Dig deep and find another way.
Fantastic. Please tell the people where they can find you.
So it's quite easy. My last name is Aoaeh, Aoaeh. If you type Brian Aoaeh into Google, you should find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I have a blog, Innovation Footprints. Our fund's website is refashion.com. You'll also, but like I said, the easiest thing to do, type Brian Aoaeh, Aoaeh into Google, and I think the first 2 or 3 pages will point you to all those things.
Alrighty. So once again, thank you, and I'll have all those links in the show notes. So Mbana for coming on the show, or as my Gambian brothers say, Barang.
Thank you.
How you say thank you in your language?
Barka.
Barka. Oh, What's that remind
And-
me of? It
and
sounds
in-
similar to Hausa, right?
It sounds similar to Hausa, and I think also in Hausa, at least in Kano, Nagode.
Nagode. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Nagode. I see
Yep.
what Nagode.
Yep.
So for everyone listening, Umbana, Baraka, Barang, and
Nagode.
Nagode. So,
Thank you.
Hey, if anyone listening out there wants to do the Jeff Bezos thing or the Jay-Z or the Rihanna's, and you got 100 million or 1 million to donate, please feel free to donate. You know, I'm black and bald. I accept all manner of donations. I can be a black bald friend, you know. And if you don't have that, that's fine. Just keep sharing and spreading the love. I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for listening to White Label American. If you enjoy the show, we'll appreciate if you rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast from. If you have any questions, comments, or have someone who will be a good guest on the show, or you want to be on the show, send us a message at whitelabelamerican@gmail.com. And make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at White Label American. Thank you for your support.